ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبين الظالمين مضرك الحاربين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين. روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتلتهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ملعونين. Amma ba'd, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziyah, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the Shuhada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. We've entered into the second night of our series of lectures. Yesterday we focused specifically upon the life of Sayyida Ma'asuma Qawm and what lessons we could derive from her life. And today I want to take this opportunity to invite us to take stock of our life thus far. For almost 2 months and 8 days we have sat in mourning of Sayyid al-Shuhada. We have shed tears for him. We have remembered the musibah that befell him. But the question that we need to ask ourselves, each and every one of us, regardless of age, regardless of where I come from, what profession, what educational background I have, is that what has changed in my life? Is there a tangible change in my life? From the first of Muharram until this point, has my life changed for the better? Have I in some way improved my life? Have I in some way made myself a better Muslim, a better Shia? Have I in some way, shape or form brought about a positive change within my life? Because that is why Sayyid al-Shuhada went to Karbala. وَإِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لَطَلِبِ الْأَصْلَاحِ فِي أُمَّتِي جَدِّي. I've come out in order to seek reform in the ummah of my grandfather. What Sayyid al-Shuhada set out to do was to bring about a reform, not just within the society, but within the hearts and the minds of the people of that time. But what an Imam does at his time is applicable to all other times. And so the question that we have to ask ourselves is that for years and years, we have listened to the musibah, we have listened to the fada'il, we have listened to all that befell Aba Abdullah in Karbala, but what has changed in my life? What is it that I've brought about in my life that I can tangibly say that yes, from the first of Muharram I was like this, but now I've changed my life for the better like this. Otherwise, what I have done is just ticked a box of tradition and culture and wasted my time. Because the purpose of Sayyid al-Shuhada was the purpose of reformation. It wasn't so that he could become a story that is told year in and year out, but rather that it is a living message, a message of reform, a message of change. that every person, every day, through every musibah, in some way, shape or form, like he gave every single shaheed, and with every shaheed, his face became brighter as he approached that divine light. Does my face become brighter when I shed tears for him? Do I feel that nur, that illumination within me when I hear his musibah? What have I changed in my life? What have I changed to make my life better? Because all that Sayyid al-Shuhada went for was Allah. But through that, the change, the reformation of the society that surrounds him. If every year for the last 31 years of my life, I had taken, or let's discount the earlier part, let's say from the age of 8 or 9 when I can recall. If every year from that point forth, or let's leave that, from the point of bulugh when I became at the age of taklif, if since that age, 14, 15, 16 years have passed by, if every year I had changed one thing in my life for the better, where would I be today? If every year, after listening to the Majlis of Abu Abdullah, I said, today I will remove jealousy from my life. And this year I will work to remove jealousy. This year I will work to remove pride. This year I will work to remove that laziness within me. Where would I be today? The fact that the message of Abu Abdullah for us has become a tick box exercise. That is the reality of the situation that we face. We ask the whole world, who is Hussein? We write it on bottles, we put it on flowers, we give it out in cards. We walk around the streets and we tell people, asking them this one fundamental question: who is Hussein? But yet my actions show that I haven't understood who he is. Because if I understood who he was, I wouldn't have that lack of love of ibadat. That he himself on the ninth of Muharram is saying to Abu al-Fadl Abbas, go, ask for one extra night. Why? Inni uhibbu salah, because Hussein loves salah. He wouldn't come to his sister on the night of Ashura. Ukhayya Zainab, idha qumti ila nafilatil layl udhkurini. My sister Zainab, when you stand in the night prayer, remember me. He wouldn't do all of this. What is it that I've changed? Have I fallen in love with ibadat? Through Imam al-Hussein have I fallen in love with munajat with my Lord, that he in dua arafah, after hamd and hamd, pages and pages of alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, 12 pages go past, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. What is the first thing that Hussein will ask for? When will Hussein stop the hamd of Allah? What is it that he will ask for after 12 A4 pages of reciting alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for various things? The first dua that Sayyid al-Shuhada does, Allahumma ja'alni akhshaka ka'anni arak. My Lord, creates that fear in my heart as if I am seeing you. Create that fear within my heart as if I am seeing you. Allahumma ja'alni akhshaka ka'anni arak. What is my relationship with Allah? What is it that I am doing in order to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The message of Karbala is living. The message of Karbala is one of reformation, one of change, one of ascension towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have to ask myself at the end of the Ayam-e-Azhar that for weeks now I have been listening to the musibah, but what change have I brought in my life? Yes, crying for Abu Abdullah has huge benefits. Weeping for Sayyid al-Shuhada has massive benefits. But there's a level above it as well. See, when you cry for Sayyid al-Shuhada, the narration says, one tear shed, one single tear shed, while remembering the musibah of Aba Abdullah, yuhittu al-dhunub al-'idham, it will consume every single one of your sins. The same way that fire consumes dry wood. One tear for Sayyid al-Shuhada. The fifth Imam says, one tear for Hussein shed will create a shield for an individual on Yawm al-Qiyamah from the fire of hell. Just listening, the very least minimum that a person could achieve in these Ayyam-e-Azah is the total forgiveness of their sins, just by shedding tears. But there's a level above this. When I am just reciting or just crying for Sayyid al-Shuhada, by listening to the musibah of Imam, at that point, all my sins are forgiven. But the level above it, the narration changes. Says, now if you understand why Imam Hussein went to Karbala, and you understand why he stood in Karbala, and you understand why he did what he did, and you implement within your life that ma'rifah of Aba Abdullah, now your sins won't be forgiven. No, there's one level above it. Man baka ala al-Husayn arifan bihaqqihi, the one that does buka over Sayyid al-Shuhada, knowing why Imam al-Hussein went to Karbala, knowing what the message of Imam al-Hussein is, what the purpose of Karbala is, understanding, implementing it within my life. Now when I do buka, when I wail and I cry for Sayyid al-Shuhada, the narration doesn't say your sins are forgiven. No, it goes one step further. It says wajibat lahu al-Jannah, Jannah becomes wajib upon you. The same, you go for the ziyarat to Sayyid al-Shuhada. The one that does the ziyarat of Aba Abdullah, kaman dhara Allah fawqa arshih, it is as if you have done the ziyarat of Allah upon the arsh. But now implement and bring into logic the stance of Imam al-Hussein. Use the intellect to try and comprehend the stance of Imam al-Hussein. Implement his teachings within your life. Now it says, Man dhara al-Hussein arifan bihaqqihi, understanding why all of those things that we have mentioned, wajibat lahu al-Jannah. Now your ziyarah of Sayyid al-Shuhada is not just a ziyarah as if you are doing the ziyarah of Allah upon the arsh, but now that same ziyarah has made Jannah wajib for you. That is understanding of the intellectual understanding of the message of Sayyid al-Shuhada. If we can implement that within our lives, then Jannah becomes wajib for us. If it's not too much of a bother, if the brothers could all slightly shift forward, so those that are coming afterwards won't need to hold over everyone's head. Ahsan, thank you so much. So the message of Sayyid al-Shuhada is one of reform, one of development, one of change. That a person brings within their life that tangible change, that they can say, yes, this message has brought about a change in my life, hasn't just dried out my eyes, hasn't just wounded my chest, but rather, along with all of these, I have gained the ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have gained the proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of those lessons that comes to us from Karbala is the message or the lesson of the defense of the religion. How to defend the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you look at the life or the maqtal of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, there is one line that Al-Abbas recites. They say when Abbas's right arm was cut, He said, Wallahu in kata'tum yamini inni uhami abadan an dini. Says, by Allah, you can cut my right arm. By Allah, you have cut my right arm, but I shall never step away from protecting and defending the religion. Inni uhami abadan an dini. I shall forever protect, I shall forever defend the religion. Now don't worry, I'm not calling you for jihad. Everyone's like, oh, what's he going to say? There are various ways to defend the religion. And many of them, in fact, the physical defense of the religion is the final stage. See, Karbala is not the norm. Karbala, even for Ahl al-Bayt, was the exception. Karbala wasn't the norm. The norm was the sulh of Imam al-Hasan. The norm was the peace treaty of Imam al-Hasan. The norm was the A'immah staying quiet in order not to cause the civil war. But the state of Islam was such that Imam al-Hussein had to break the norm and go to war. The war is not the norm of Ahl al-Bayt. It was the exception. Karbala was the exception. The norm was the seerah of Imam al-Hasan. Those sisters that are talking, if you would kindly stay quiet, please recite aloud salawat. Sometimes I often say this, in child psychology there are various developments of the stages of a child. One of those is the stage of object permanence. That it's why you can go peekaboo to a child up until the age of 3. Because when you hide your face, there's nothing there. Now it's disappeared for them. And then when you move your hands, your face appears as if appearing out of nowhere. Sometimes I go to centers and I often think that our sisters, I can still hear you. You're behind the screen, but I can still hear you. That object permanence maybe wasn't developed. That there is something behind the screen. Inshallah, recite another salawat. How is it that one can help in the defense of that religion? What is it that one can do to help defend Islam? When the Holy Prophet says to Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, Ya Ali, you shall be killed in the masjid on the night of the 21st, or you'll be struck on the night of the 19th of Ramadan, and there will be poison in the sword, and you will have the pain for many days. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Rasulullah only one thing. He says, Ya Rasulullah, in that state, will my religion still be safe? Will the religion still be safe? The Prophet said yes. He says, then I'm willing to accept. The purpose was the defense of the religion. Anything that any one of the A'immah did was to protect the religion. And protection and the preserving of the religion within our time is the most difficult. Within Akhir al-Zaman. Every narration speaks about Akhir al-Zaman. Every narration points to this time that we are living in. It says that it will be easier to hold a burning coal in your hand than preserve your faith. It says that a man will leave the home a mu'min in the morning but return home a kafir. See, this doesn't apply to us. I leave home, I pray my salat al-fajr. Get to work, I'm too ashamed to ask to pray. I left a mu'min, I returned. It's not that it's someone else's problem. The kufr is what? Disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lack of the yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not having that. When I live my day-to-day life, when I'm afraid to show my religion to people, as if I'm renouncing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what else is it than kufr? The person leaves in the morning, mu'min, returns kafir. This is Akhir Zaman. the most difficult time to preserve your faith, but the one that preserves their faith in this time, in the ghaibah of the Imam, your salah is worth more than the salah of those that were next to the A'immah. Once one of the companions, I believe Salman or Abu Dhar, comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen and they ask him that how will people survive without a ma'soom around? And the Imam says it will be difficult, but know that their salah, their fasting, their acts of obedience will be worth thousands of times more than what yours are worth, because you had a ma'soom in front of you. We that live in the ghaibah of the Imam, yes, difficult for us to do. Yes, difficult for us to preserve our faith, but if we preserve it, we're able to ascend the spiritual ranks far quicker than those that were there during the time of the other Imams. It is possible for someone to become the Abu Zar of today, to become the Miqdad of today, to become the Salman of today, only if they wish to do so. Otherwise, anyone can come and tell you, the Marja, the Imam can come and tell you to do something. But if you choose not to do it, that's your own thing. There have been people there. Look at Karbala. I gave you the example of Ubaydullah al-Rajafi yesterday. Umar ibn Sa'ad. Why is Umar ibn Sa'ad selected to head up the army of Yazid? Umar ibn Sa'ad did not fight in any major battles. Was not known for his military prowess. He wasn't anyone that was, that was known for being a great warrior. Why is it that Umar ibn Sa'ad is chosen to head up the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and Yazid? Because Umar ibn Sa'ad was an individual that on the face of it, amongst the people of Kufa, was known for his piety. On the Zahir, the Batin, obviously we know, he stood against the Imam at the time, couldn't have been that pious. But the Zahir of it, the people, he was selected so that the people would become confused. Because on one side is a nation that said, what was Ali doing in the masjid? On the other side are the true companions. And on one side is the son of that very same Ali. On the other side is someone that they believed to be pious. So it would confuse them even more. Imam goes to visit Umar ibn Sa'ad. He's visited twice. Once by the Imam, once by a companion. First time Imam goes to him, says, Umar ibn Sa'ad, what are you doing? This, what you want to do, it will lead you towards no good. Says, come join us. He turns to the Imam and says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, I know that you are on haqq. Listen to his words. Says, I know that you are on haqq. And I know that you are truthful in what you stand for. But Ya ibn Rasulillah, I have a family. I have work in Kufa. Imam says, we will give protection to your family. We will fulfill all your financial needs. We will support them. I'm asking you to come. He turns to the Imam and he rejects it again. The Imam says to him, oh, Umar ibn Sa'ad. Behind him was a bed. He says, I see now. One day shall come, it will be this very bed that you lie on, and the people will come and they will stab you and kill you upon this bed. Your head will be severed, your head put upon a spear, and the children of Kufa shall stone your head. And that is exactly what happened. The second time he's visited by one of the companions of the Imam. He said, the companion comes to the Imam, says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, I know him from Kufa, we go way back. Let me speak to him. He goes up to him, and as he enters the tent of Umar ibn Sa'ad, Umar ibn Sa'ad says salam to him. He doesn't reply. Umar ibn Sa'ad says, since when has a Muslim not replied to the salam of another Muslim? He looks at him, he says, you consider yourself Muslim when the pigs and the dogs of the deserts drink from the Furat and the children of Rasulullah are thirsty? He says, you consider yourself a Muslim? He says, what is it? He says, come join us. What is it you're doing? He says, what is the matter? He says, they've given me the governorship of Ray. Hussein can't give it to me. Comes back to the Imam, says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, he's killed you for Ray. Imam says, I told you. So the criterion isn't the fact if the Imam is in front of you doesn't mean that you would change your life. Even if a ma'soom imam comes to you, even on the zahir, you're someone that prays, that recites Quran. Even if the ma'soom imam is there and tells you to do something, the choice is still yours. And many people throughout history have chosen to reject the imam of their time. Many people have chosen to reject the imam of their time. So the criterion isn't that me coming, sitting here, or marja, or even the imam of the time coming to tell you, don't do these things, don't do things. No one will change until they themselves want to change. Otherwise we'll just get up, listen to the majlis, tick the box, yes I went, I feel good about myself, and go. And then next year when this comes again. And then again I'll come and I'll sit and I'll make myself, go through the whole process again. It's a waste of time. This is a place of reform, a place of change. If we haven't changed, if we haven't found a better, higher cause for ourselves, there's no better place than the Majlis of Abu Abdullah. There's no better place. Because Imam al-Hussein will take an individual towards salvation. Inna al-Hussein masba'u al-huda wa safinatu al-najah. Surely Hussein is the lantern of guidance and the ark of salvation. Someone comes to the 8th Imam, says, Ya Ibn Rasulillah, are you not all arks of salvation? Why is this hadith only singled out Abu Abdullah? He says, yes, kulluna sufanun najah. We are all arks of salvation. Amma safinatu al-Hussein. But the ark of Abu Abdullah is far vast. They can take more people on it, and it is faster than any of our arcs, that it will take you towards salvation much quicker. Just one tear for Imam al-Hussein. Only walked a few steps. The rest of the way Imam Hussein came running to him. This is that Kareem Imam. So the defense of the religion, how is it that we maintain that religion? Yesterday I gave you one dua ghareek. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Oh Allah, keep my heart steadfast upon this religion. This dua has been highly recommended in Akhir al-Zaman, during our time. When the religion, when the faith, everything is being attacked, things are being watered down, people are trying to find excuses. So the first way to be able to defend the religion is to first understand the religion. Why is it we do what we do? Understand it. Have a deep understanding of it. Know what the religion says about trees. Like I mentioned yesterday, know what the religion says about the environment. Know what the religion says about health. The Imam have ahadith after ahadith about it. They say during the time of Mansur al-Dawaniki, he called a very famous Indian doctor at that time. That doctor came into Medina, came to the court of Mansur and said to him that I have great knowledge of medicine. Call for me who is your most knowledgeable person here in Medina? Call him towards me, I want to test his knowledge. And they brought various people, and this doctor annihilated all of them when it came to the understanding of medicine. So now Mansur worried, says, who else should we call? They say, why don't we call Imam al-Sadiq? So they say they bring Imam al-Sadiq into the court, and this individual turns to the Imam, he says, do you want me to teach you something? The Imam says, no. The Imams have an ilm that we don't even know many of the things. We go and we try and look at modern day things. Oh, this person said this person said this. But yet the A'imma had many of these things. We don't study the hadith. Amir al-Mu'mineen is asked by someone, says that in the Holy Quran, it says, وَمَشَارِكْ وَمَغَارِبْ, the easts and the wests. Is it possible to have more than one east, more than one west? Imam says, yes, there are multiple easts and wests. So there are multiple easts and wests. This is what it means when the Quran says, وَمَشَارِكْ وَمَغَارِبْ, that's the easts and the wests. They say, what do you mean multiple easts and wests? Imam says there are 360 easts and 360 wests. Talking about the earth. So this individual says to the sixth Imam, he says, do you want me to teach you something about tib? The Imam says, no, I don't need you to tell me anything. So the doctor says to him, tell me, what is it that you know about illness, about medicine? The Imam says, I will give you 2 sayings of my grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about medicine. Says the first thing that my grandfather says is the stomach is the house of all illness. The stomach is the house of all illness. And the second thing says abstinence and control is better than any medicine. This individual looks towards the Imam, looks towards Mansur. He says, there's nothing left for me to say. In these 2 statements, he has encompassed all of my knowledge. And then the narration continues. Imam asks him 3 hard. Imam says, let me ask you some questions. That for another day. But the Imam asks him 3 questions. In the end, when he's unable to answer them, and the Imam answers it for him, he looks towards Mansur. He says, why did you call me? If you have this man here, knowing knowledge of the religion, having that intimate knowledge of the deen, being able to defend the deen by understanding the religion, understanding the Holy Quran. So when someone asks you that does your religion promote this, you have an answer from the Holy Quran. When someone says, yeah, but the Quran says kill them where you find them even while they run. What is our answer? Do we have a relationship with the Quran? When Ali himself in the khutbah of Nahj al-Balagha gives 57 fada'il of the Holy Quran, where Ali himself is speaking about the beauty of the Quran. What is my relationship with the Quran? What is my love of the Quran? They say one day, Muawiyah came to Medina. And they complained to him. They said, Muawiyah, listen, we have a problem. So what's the problem? He says, Ibn Abbas is giving the tafsir of the Quran in the masjid. Muawiyah says, who better than Ibn Abbas to give the tafsir of the Quran? This is the household upon whom the Quran was revealed. Who better than them to give the tafsir of the Quran? So Muawiyah, you don't understand. Ibn Abbas, although giving the tafsir of the Quran, within it, he's slipping the fada'il of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Muawiyah says, the fada'il of Ali? Says, I will go and I'll make sure that I disrupt this gathering. So he turns up into the gathering of Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas is speaking with such passion, such fervor, Muawiyah can't stand up in order to disrupt the gathering. So at that moment, at the end of the gathering, Muawiyah stands up. He says to him, Ibn Abbas, what was this? Ibn Abbas says, Muawiyah, the tafsir of the Quran. He says, was this the tafsir of the Quran or the fada'il of Ali? He says, Muawiyah, you tell me, where is there not the fada'il of Ali in the Quran? Ibn Abbas says, Muawiyah, you tell me. I'll recite ayat for you. You tell me whether or not this is the fada'il of Ali. He says, tell me, إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُنْزِرْ وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. And we sent you as a warner, and to every nation we sent a guide. Muawiyah says, yes, I accept. This ayah, the Holy Prophet said, I am the warner of this nation and Ali is the guide. But Ibn Abbas, why did you select this ayah? Select another ayah. There's so many ayat in the Holy Quran. You select this ayah. Ibn Abbas says, okay, tell me. إِنَّمَا وَلِيَكُمُ اللَّهُ وَالرَّسُولُ. He says that, tell me of this ayah. He says, yes, I accept. This ayah was revealed when Ali gave his ring in ruku. And many tried afterwards to give their ring in ruku, but no one had an ayah revealed for them. But Ibn Abbas, why do you read this ayah? Select another ayah. Select another ayah from the Holy Quran. He says, okay, tell me, كَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدٌ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمَ الْكِتَابِ. Tell me, who is this ayah for? He says, yes, I accept that this ayah was also about Ali. The Holy Prophet said, the one that possesses all the knowledge of the book is none other than Ali ibn Abi Talib. But Ibn Abbas, why did you select this ayah? Select another ayah. Ibn Abbas says, okay, tell me. إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ. He says, tell me, what of this ayah? He says, yes, this ayah I accept is about the purity and the taharat of Ali ibn Abi Talib. But why did you select this ayah? Select another ayah. He says, okay, tell me. عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ. He says, tell me of this. He says, yes, I heard the Holy Prophet say that Ali is the great news that everyone will be asked about on the day of judgment. But why do you select this ayah? Select another ayah. He says, okay, tell me. قُلْ تَعَالَوْا نَدْعُوا أَبْنَاءَنَا وَأَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَنِسَاءَنَا وَنِسَاءَكُمْ وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ. He says, tell me of this ayah. Muawiyah says, yes, I accept. This is the ayah of the day of Mubahila, where Ali was called the nafs of the Prophet. But why is it that you select this ayah? Select another ayah. He says, okay, tell me. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And hold fast to the rope of Allah. He says, yes, I heard the Holy Prophet say that Ali is the rope of Allah. But Muawiyah, but Ibn Abbas, why do you select this ayah? Select another ayah. Ibn Abbas says, tell me. Ya ayyuha al-Rasul balligh ma unzila ilayk. Tell me of this ayah. Muawiyah says to him, yes, I accept. This ayah was revealed on the day of Ghadir, where Ali was told, where the Holy Prophet was told to announce the wilayat of Ali. But why do you select this ayah? Select another ayah. Ibn Abbas says to him, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati. He says, tell me of this ayah. He says, yes, this ayah was also revealed about Ali on the day of Ghadir. After the wilayat of Ali, the deen was completed upon the wilayat of Ali. But why do you select this ayah? Select another ayah. Ibn Abbas says, okay, tell me. Sa'ala sa'ilun bi'adabin waqi'. And when the questioner will come and ask about the imminent punishment, he says, yes, I accept. On the day of Ghadir, someone came to the Prophet, said, if this is from you, I reject it. If it is from Allah, I don't want it. He says, as he walked away, he said, tell Allah to send an adab upon me if this is truly from God. As he walked away, they say a stone fell from the heavens and destroyed him. He says, Ibn Abbas, this ayah is about the destruction of the enemies of Ali ibn Abi Talib. But Ibn Abbas, why do you select this ayah? Select another ayah. He says, Muawiyah, you tell me which ayah shall I read where there isn't the fadail of Ali? Muawiyah says to him, why don't you read إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا? He says, okay, Muawiyah, I'm sorry, but this ayah too is the fadail of Ali. He says, how? He says, after the death of the Prophet, when Medina was struck with an earthquake, all of the inhabitants of Medina came running out from their homes, afraid, not knowing what to do. He says, we saw Ali coming out from his house. He was walking towards us. When he came near us, we realized he was reciting إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. When he reached amongst us and he stamped his foot on the earth, he said, oh earth, Abu Turab is ordering you, stop shaking. He said, the earth stopped shaking. From that moment until this moment, until the day of judgment, whenever anyone recites this ayah of the Quran, the only misdaq of it is Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why don't you come out with it and say it until there is the Quran, there is the fadail of Ali. Knowing the Quran, being able to defend Ahl al-Bayt through the Quran. This is the seerah of the Shia of Ali. This is the role of the Shia of Ali. Being able to have a deep understanding. So the first thing in the pursuit of the defense of the religion is that we must understand the religion. Why is it that we have it? Where is it that it came from? How do I defend my own beliefs? I must understand it. The second thing, in order to defend your religion, is that if there is anything that may cause damage to your religion, distance yourself from it. Be they in the form of friends, be it in the form of a center, be it in the form of traveling somewhere. Various things can damage a person's religion. Many individuals, Yawm al-Qiyamah, the ayah of the Holy Quran says there will be certain individuals that will be dragged towards hell, and they will be calling out, Ya waylatana, woe unto us, lam attakhid fulanan khalila. How I wish I hadn't taken this person as my friend, because of this friend of mine, today I'm ending up in hell. Having bad company is one way that shall damage your religion. being amongst those that are individuals that drink, being amongst those that are individuals that listen to music, be amongst those that are individuals that do haram, they will eventually have an effect on me. And if you want to improve your life, then find better friends. At whatever age we are in our lives. The advice of the teachers of akhlaq is, if you want to be a better person, find people and befriend them who you perceive to be better than you in certain things. Sometimes what we do is we find our friends, those that will feed our pride. We surround ourselves with those people that will say, oh, you know, what a great lecture. Or what a beautiful recitation. We surround ourselves with those people because they feed my ego, they feed my pride. But what they're doing is they're stopping my growth towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the pride is one of the most heinous actions, one of the worst of diseases that can exist within the soul of a human being. They say one sand's grain worth of pride in the heart will stop someone from entering into Jannah. They say that what is the lowest? Someone asked one of the teachers of akhlaq, what is the lowest form of pride? He says, even if you're proud over the laces in your shoes, you'll be stopped from entering Jannah. Now I have pride in so many things, my good looks, my ability to speak, my children, my education, the clothes that I have, the car that I drive, the home that I have. I'm proud of all of it. Even though zahiran I may not show anyone. But Allah knows what is hidden within the hearts. And that's what will be questioned on Yawm al-Qiyamah. It's not just our actions. وَمَا تُخْفِي الصُّدُورِ, and that which was hidden in their hearts. Every thought will be questioned on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That at this time, in this year, on this day, you thought this about someone. This thought passed through your head. Why? They will be weighed up on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So if we want to get better, we surround ourselves. If I think that I'm someone who's regular with my salah, I find someone who I perceive to be on time with their salah. If I am regular and praying on time, I look for someone who I think will be praying Salatul Layl, or I have the perception that they're praying Salatul Layl, so I want to feed off them. Hazrat Isa was asked by the Hawariyun, Ya Ruh Allah man nujalis, says, oh Ruh Allah, who should we sit with? He says, sit with those individuals that when you look at them, it reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their actions, it reminds you of your akhirah. Look for those people. And these aren't just my words. Come towards Munajat al-Arifin of the fourth Imam. In Munajat al-Arifin, the Imam, when he speaks about the knowers, those that are the Urafa, those that are spiritually inclined, those that have the ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he doesn't say, oh Allah, make me like this, make me like this, make me like this. No, he says, oh Allah, place me amongst those people whose hearts have taken, where the trees of yearning for you have taken a root in their hearts. Oh Allah, place me amongst those people whose thoughts are pure, even when they are alone, meaning that the company that you keep influences who you are. You are the average of your closest 5 friends, they say. Look at who you surround yourself with. The people that I surround myself with know a person through the books that they read. What if we read any books? The only book that we read is Facebook. We've got a problem. We have an issue. But to look at what they read, look at what they watch, look at the things that they like doing in their spare time, and then see whether or not this person will help you. And by the way, playing sports or anything isn't an issue. But that doesn't take you away from the religion. No, rather, see, I often tell people that, even you're going to the gym, even you're playing sports, even those matters can become ibadat for you. It's not just namaz and fasting and these things that are ibadat, but rather even you're playing sport, all you have to do is just make an intention. The intention is before you leave your home to go and play your football, or you guys call it soccer or whatever it is. Football's your version of rugby with padding on it. Anyway, so we have a slightly manly version of your American football where we don't have the padding and things. But anyway, so even when you go out to the gym, when you go to do these sporting things, various things that you do, just before you leave your home, just do this niyyah. Ya Allah, I'm going out in order to play sports, to find for halal enjoyment and to better this body of mine that you have given me as an amana, qurbatan ila Allah. That sport that you are playing will become ibadat for you. That's what you are doing will become ibadat for you. All of these things, just the mindset, it requires a change of mindset. Everything has an influence on our lives. If we find ourselves finding a center that is not catering for our spiritual needs, or there is a center, inshallah you don't have any here, but a center that is promoting deviant ideologies, I make sure that I don't go to that center, no matter how good that person recites the Fada'il of Imam Ali. Because even Muawiyah recited the Fada'il of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Even people like Amr ibn al-As recited Nisbatu Aliyin ila nas ka nisbati dhahab bil rimat. The example of Ali amongst the people is like that of gold amongst dirt. These are the words not of any Shia, of Amr ibn al-As. So Fada'il of Ali is not the criterion for whom we should listen to. It's not the criterion. How nicely they recite the qasida. Listen, what is it that is being recited? Is it accurate? Is it shirk? Is it going against the Quran? Is it going against the teachings of Ahlul Bayt? And for that we need an understanding of the religion. Move away from those places that may deviate you, that may damage your faith. Move away, even clothing. The narrations say, whoever's clothing becomes thinner, their religion becomes thinner. Often we get the argument, oh, it doesn't matter, I don't need to wear hijab, it's about the hijab in the heart. No, the Ma'soom Imam is saying, whose clothing gets thinner, their religion gets thinner. It's causal, it's not even correlation. It's causal. Those of you that have done science-based degrees, you'll know. Causal and correlational, the difference between them. The one whose clothing becomes thinner, his religion becomes thinner. So if I'm wearing my trousers so low down my waist that every time I go into sajda, the person behind me has a nightmare for the next 3 weeks.
Thank you for saying that.
Then there's a problem with what I'm wearing. Pull them up, put a belt on. So it's not what the followers of Ahlul Bayt to do or wear. What is it that I'm wearing? How does it represent the message of Imam al-Hussein? Or am I trying to follow some hip-hop or some other artist there? Music is one of the biggest damaging things to the faith of an individual. We all listen to the Fada'il of Ali. We all became very happy. We all love Amirul Mu'mineen. But you know what Ali says about music? He says, "Man talaba qalbahu ala harfin min alati al-ghina." The one whose heart shakes and becomes happy at the single note of a musical instrument or the singing voice. من طرب قلبه على حرف من آلات الغناء فكأنما لطم عليا على وجهه. It is as if he slapped me, Ali, in the face. Who will slap Amir al-Mu'mineen in the face? The Shia that listens to music does on a daily basis. We need to be aware of what we're doing. We have to be aware of what lives we're living. This religion did not come as a burden upon us. It came for ease. I said yesterday, it is only the wajibat and those things that are haram. Everything else is there for an ease. You don't have to pray Salatul Layl if you can't bring yourself to do it. So just pray the 5 wajib salahs, that's fine. Just pray them, it's fine. If you don't pray the mustahabat, no problem. But do your wajibat, because if you don't do your wajibat, you're going to hell. So in order to defend the religion, a person must also first pull themselves away from those individuals or those things that may damage the religion. Food. The amount of food, the effect that food has on our spiritual self. What does Sayyid al-Shuhada say in Karbala? After giving khutbah after khutbah in Karbala, he says to them, the reason my words are having no effect on you, قَدْ مُلِئَتْ بُطُونَكُم مِّنَ الْحَرَامِ, because your stomachs are filled with haram. That's haram. How is it gained? It's not that they were eating pork. They were apparently Muslim. They weren't eating non-zabiha. They were individuals who were taking haram money, buying food with it and consuming it. That became the haram in their stomach. I work as a contractor. I charge someone and say to them, this job will take 3 hours for me to complete. I charge them for the 3 hours, but I finish it in 1 hour, but I still take the money of the 3 hours. That is lying. That money is najis. It is haram. Buy food, eat it. Fast forward to the army of Yazid. I go to a place where they serve haram usually, but you know, we say to them in advance and they bring halal beef for us because I really like eating a steak. Or this place, it serves pork and everything, but you know their beef is creekstone. Yeah? It's halal. Their beef may be halal, but did they wash the griddle for you 3 times in Abikur? Did they wash the utensils that they're using to flip the meat in Abikur? Did they do all of this thing to make that place park for you, to be consuming that meat? Doesn't matter if it's halal, if it's in contact with najasat, it's najis. Food has a huge effect upon a person. Abu Aswad al-Du'ali is the companion of the Imam. They say that Muawiyah tries to buy Abu al-Aswad. He sends halwa to the house of Abu al-Aswad. He wasn't at home, his young daughter was there, and she receives that. And she begins to eat it. At that moment, Abu al-Aswad al-Du'ali enters into the home. He looks at his daughter, he says, what are you eating? He says, some men came, some soldiers came and they gave it. He looks towards his daughter, it's halfway towards her mouth. He says to her daughter, no, that Muawiyah sent this halwa. And if you consume it, it will affect your love of Ali ibn Abi Talib. At that point, she puts it down. And she recites some bait of poetry for another day. Food has a big influence on damaging our religion. We don't care where it's come from, whether it's halal, whether it's tahir, whether the person who's cooking it was Muslim or not. Yes, we have this requirement in a Christian country. You can assume that those individuals that are working there are Christian, and thus tahir, consumption from them. But when we actively seek out a non-Muslim place to go and try and eat halal from there, where they also have haram on the menu, we're not willing to sacrifice even an inch. And you know, when Amir al-Mu'mineen, he speaks about his one of his most favorite companions. In fact, he calls him his Kana li akhun. I used to have a brother who was beloved to me, who was honored to me, because صغر الدنيا في عينه. The first thing that Amir al-Mu'mineen says is the dunya was small in his eyes. The second characteristic of that individual that Amir al-Mu'mineen calls his friend, he says that individual كان خارجا من سلطان بطنه. That individual had removed himself from the sovereignty, from the kingship of his stomach. His stomach didn't govern him. He was hungry, he didn't get in a bad mood. His stomach didn't govern him. You look at us, when it comes to Shahr Ramadan, we tell everyone at work, hey listen, look, I'm fasting, don't talk to me. I get home from work and there's nothing cooked. Allahu Akbar. خارج من سلطان بطنه. He'd removed himself from the sovereignty of his stomach. He wasn't run by his stomach. The third thing that can stop a person, or that can aid a person in stopping their religion from being damaged, is to act upon the deen. Abbas is saying, Inni uhami abadan an dini. I shall never leave defending this religion. One of the ways to defend the religion, the third and final way that I want to leave with you, is that an individual actually acts upon it. Doesn't just pay lip service to it. Actually acts upon it. He does the action of namaz. He actually understands his wudu, not this super speed namaz. You know, if we unfortunately have to wake up for Fajr, and we've heard, this saying, it's not a hadith, a saying that says, As-salatu mi'raj al-mu'min. And sometimes we take it literally. They say the Holy Prophet went to Mi'raj, came back, his bed was still warm. I get up in the morning, in the cold winter mornings, pray Fajr so fast, come back, so my bed's still warm. We take it literally, As-salatu mi'raj al-mu'min. Pray with such speed, no concentration, not doing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hadith of Mi'raj says, عَجِبْتُ مِنْ ثَلَاثَةِ الْعَبِيدِ. I'm shocked at three groups of my servants. The first group, عَبْدٌ دَخِلَ فِي الصَّلَاةِ. That abd of mine that enters into his prayer, and he knows who he is standing in front of, and who he is raising his hands in front of, وَهُوَ يَنْعِسْ. But he's sleepy, inattentive. He's not concentrating. He says, I'm shocked at that person. What is my salah like? What is my action of prayer like? Have I concentrated? Have I tried to understand why it is that I'm doing it? Because that prayer is so important that the sixth Imam says that the shafa'ah of us Ahl al-Bayt will not reach the person that considers his salah to be something small. Not the one that doesn't pray. The one that doesn't pray is going to hell, full stop. But the one who considers his prayer to be small. What does that mean? One day he prays on time. The next day he delays it 5 minutes before qada, quickly bang it out. Yeah? Or then the other day, he might miss his fajr. I pray Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. The next day, Zohar, Asr got missed, and he goes through the other. Says that individual, not the one that leaves salah, that individual that does not take his prayer seriously, says our shafa'ah will not reach him on Yawm al-Qiyamah. We will not intercede for him, no matter how much Ya Ali I do in this dunya. It's not. So understand why it is that we do it. All of these various a'mal that we have, to act upon it, to preserve the teachings of Ahl al-Bayt, to act upon their teachings. We don't need to tell everyone else about the hadith. The best Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar is taught to us from Sayyid al-Shuhada. He says, وَإِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِطَلَبِ الْأَصْلَاحِ فِي أُمَّةِ جَدِّي أُرِيدُ أَنْ أَمْرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَأَنْهَى عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. That I seek to reform the ummah of my grandfather through enjoining good, through forbidding evil. How will you do this? يَبْنَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ وَأَصِيرُ بِسِيرَةِ جَدِّي وَأَبِي عَلِيِّ بْنِ أَبِي طَالِبٍ. I will do it by walking upon the seerah, following the path of my grandfather and my father Ali. By living the life. When you live the life, you preserve the teachings. When you live the life, you change society around you. Without saying anything. You won't need to say anything. Your actions will be an ambassador for you. Says that individual that preserves the teachings of Ahl al-Bayt. Learn about the religion. Learn about the teachings of Ahl al-Bayt. Understand them, digest them. Learn to leave that which is in this world. I said today during the Jum'ah khutbah that Islam doesn't say that you shouldn't own anything. Amir al-Mu'mineen says zuhd, asceticism, is not that you do not own anything. To become closer to Allah, to be an arif, to be someone that is loved by Allah, to be amongst the awliya of Allah, it isn't that you shouldn't have nice things. You can have your iPhone, you can have your car, you can have your home, no problem. Amir al-Mu'mineen says zuhd is not that you do not own anything. Rather zuhd is that nothing owns you. It's not that you do not own anything. It is that nothing owns you. So if today, this iPad that I own, tomorrow it is lost, I don't spend 3 weeks crying and moping over it. If I crash my beautiful car, I don't look at it every day, or someone scratches it in the car park. Every day I come out, oh my God. It's going to cost me a fortune. Although on the face of it, no brother, it's okay, mashallah, alhamdulillah, no, it's fine, mu'min brother. I get home and I look at it, oh God, what's happened? So it's not that you do not own anything, own all you want. As long as you're paying your wajibat, your zakat, your khums, no problem. Islam doesn't say don't have anything nice. It says, but don't make sure those things don't own you. They don't change your personality. If you lose them, you're not upset about it. You're not angry about it. It doesn't govern you. Sayyid al-Shuhada says, "An-nas abid dunya wa din la'iqun ala alsinatihim." Mankind is a slave of the world, and the religion is but a taste on their tongue. When it suits them, they keep it. وَإِذَا مُحِصُّوا لِلْبَلَاءِ. But when they are tested with difficulties and trials that are in the outside world, everyone is anti-Islam, then he says, no, there's different. أَلَّا دَيَّانُونَ. Then very few of them are religious. It says, النَّاسَ عَبِيدُ الدُّنْيَا. Mankind is a slave of the dunya, and the religion is a taste on their tongue. I like this part of the religion, I'll keep this. I don't like that part, I don't want to have that. I'll pray, but this other thing called beard, nothing to do with me. I'll pray, but this thing called hijab, I'll do it when I'm on the musalla. I'll pray, but fasting, oh, so long, how can I do it? It says, "An-nas abid dunya." So mankind is a slave of the dunya, and the deen is a taste on their tongue. When it suits them, they keep it. When they do not like it, قَلَّ دَيَانُونَ. When we test them with trials, when society turns against you, when people start questioning your faith, قَلَّ دَيَانُونَ. Then you find very few of them to be religious. You find them selling their faith. You find them compromising on their faith. You find them compromising on the names that their parents gave them. For the sake of what? For the sake of the dunya. وَحُبُّ الدُّنْيَا رَأْسُ كُلِّ خَطِيئَةٍ. And the love of the dunya is the root of all evil. All sin comes back to that point. And when hubb al-dunya takes root in the life of a person, such heinous acts can be committed, as was seen in Karbala, that were faced by Ahl al-Bayt. Which acts do we speak about? The 6-month-old child receiving an arrow to the neck. Which musibah do we speak about? Qasim's voice coming from underneath the galloping horses, "Uncle, I can't take it anymore." Or do we speak about that 3-year-old child of Abi Abdullah, the one whose masa'ib was so great that she bore all of them from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham, but in Sham she no longer could bear it. Where do I start the masa'ib of Sakina? Where does the masa'ib of Sakina start? Does it start from the moment that Ahl al-Bayt left Medina? Or does it start from the 7th of Muharram, when the water was cut upon the tents of Abi Abdullah? Shall I start it from the time of Asr, when Abu Abdullah wanted to leave and the horse would not move, and he looked down towards the hind legs of the horse to find the 3-year-old girl holding on, saying, "Oh horse, don't take my father, don't take my father. Whoever has gone since this morning has not returned." He dismounts from the horse, he takes his daughter in his hands. "My daughter, don't burn the heart of your father by crying for me. My daughter, your time for crying will come when you find me lying upon the plains of Karbala and the veins of my neck cut. My daughter, do sabr." Do I start her musibah from that point, or from the point of Sham-e Ghariba? when she is lost in the desert and Sayyidah Zainab and Kulthum go out into the desert in pursuit of the child. They can't find her anywhere, and then they find her lying upon a headless body, a body that's covered in stones, a body whose chest has the marks of the hooks upon it, and the child is asleep, and they approach her. Say, Sakina, Sakina, wake up. And the child wakes up and says that, oh aunt, let me stay here. She says, Sakina, how did you know that this was the body of your father? She says that I ran out into the maqtal after certain things, certain dhulm had befallen me, and I ran out into the maqtal crying, Ya abata, Ya abata. And from this body the voice came, Ilayya, Ilayya, my daughter, come to me, come to me. She says, I waited there. Or do I start her musibah before that? The reason why she ran out, they say as the tent set on fire and the women and children of Ahlul Bayt began running across the plains of Karbala, they say this child ran out. Hamid ibn Muslim narrates, I saw a girl, her shirt on fire. He says, I stepped towards her. I said to her, she said to me that, oh man, stay away. I am the daughter of Rasulullah. Nahnu banat Rasulullah. We are the daughters of Rasulullah. No normal man may come near us. She says, I wish only to extinguish the fire on your shirt. He goes forward, he extinguishes the fire. She says, oh man, you have been so kind to me. Tell me one more thing. Which way is Najaf? Says, girl, what is it that you wish to go to in Najaf? Because at this point, the grave of Amirul Mu'mineen is still hidden. Only Ahlul Bayt know. She says, my grandfather Ali is buried there. I want to go there and tell my grandfather Ali of the musibah that befell us. This is the girl ran out. She was confronted by Khuli. And the dhulm that Khuli did. They say, well, after the events of Karbala, Khuli was the one given to carry the head of Abu Abdullah. Says, I came into my house late at night. Says, I came and I placed the head of Abu Abdullah in the tandoor of my house. And I covered it. And I went into my room and I laid down. My wife awoke. She said to me, Khuli, where have you been for so long? So you've been missing for 2 days. Where have you been? He says, something happened. Leave it, let it be. I had to do some work. Let me sleep, I'm tired. They say sometime later again she wakes him up, tears rolling from her eyes. Says, Khuli, tell me, what is it that you did? Where is it that you went? He says, let it be. What is it of yours? She says to him, Khuli, tell me, why is it that Zahra comes in my dream and is saying, what did my Hussein do to your Khuli? She says, what is it that my Hussein did to your Khuli? And why is it Khuli took that from us which he took? Says, Khuli, what did you do? He says, we went to Karbala. Hussein was there, we killed Hussein. Says, but what is it that you took from Ahlul Bayt? He says, look under the pillow, there are 2 earrings there. Says, there are 2 earrings there. Says, what happened? How did you get them? He says, I was standing there. I saw a young girl come running. She was the daughter of Hussein. I saw in her ears 2 pearl earrings. I said to her, I want these earrings. I want them for my daughter. Give it to me. Says the girl was 3 years old. She was young. Out of fear of me, her hands were shaking. She tried to take them. She was afraid. Her hands were shaking. I was impatient. I went forward and I pulled them from the air. When the water was brought, and they say they woke her up and they said, Sakina, drink. And she said, Aunt, why are you giving it to me first? And they said, Sakina, it is our tradition that the youngest must drink first. And they say that she ran towards where the tents used to be, where there was a small grave that had been dug. And she ran towards it and said, Sakina, where are you going? She said, oh, Aunt, when they say that the army was preparing to leave, and they came and they saw the child again next to the body of her brother, to the body of her father. Abata, Father, after you we have only sorrow. Father, after you they burnt the tents. Father, after you. They say that he walked up towards her and he said to her, let us go. She turned towards him. This is what Sakina is saying. She turns towards him. She says, will we leave right away? Oh, this is a 3-year-old girl. Says, will we leave right away? Or will we leave in a short while? Can we remain? He says, no, we must leave right away. She says, look, I'm young, I'm 3 years old. Let me stay next to the body of my father. Leave me here. I'm too young to ride a camel. I won't be able to support myself on the camel. Leave me be. Let me lay here. Let me die here. He says that she would not listen. The narration says he grabbed her, he dragged her, and as she was being dragged, she was looking towards her father. They say they picked her up, they placed her forcefully on the camel, and then from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham. One or two other musibah. I don't know where it is in the whole event of Karbala, in the whole Maqtal, where this daughter of Imam al-Hussein actually drank water. You heard Sham Ghariba, the child went and she ran to the grave of Ali al-Asghar. They say along the way, whenever water in Kufa, when the water came, and that woman said, I'll give you water but do dua for me. And Sakina did her dua, but nowhere does it say that she drank the water. Rather distracted maybe by her father's head reciting Quran, turning to her aunt, oh auntie, in my life I have seen many qaris, I have seen many reciters of the Quran, but oh aunt, this qari, this father of mine, nowhere have I seen that someone recites Quran and people throw stones at him. Said, aunt, why is it that they do this? In Kufa she didn't drink. They say along the way in Sham, towards Sham, whenever water was brought, she would run towards Imam al-Sajjad, because they say the chains of Sajjad heated so much in the heat of the desert that Sakina would pour the water on the chains of Sajjad, saying the chains of my brother are hotter, my thirst can remain. At one point in the way they say that Shumar had the water, and this 3-year-old girl was looking towards him. Shumar saw that she was looking. He said to her, do you want this water? The girl said, I'm thirsty, the heat of the desert. He says, I'll give you this water, but only after we have all drunk. The narration says he begins to give water. Those of you that have daughters, those of you that have children, but especially daughters, when you promise your young daughters something, and you say, I'll bring it for you afterwards, do you see the anticipation in the eyes of the child? That the moment you walk in, she runs towards you, Baba, did you bring it for me? That which you promised me. This daughter of Hussein promised water. She says that, they say that she looked towards Shema. He began giving water to everyone. Then he turned towards her. He opened the bag of water and he poured it all over the earth. They say the daughter of Hussein ran towards that place where the water had fallen, and she placed her cheek on the water. At night in Sham, in her dream she sees her father. Says, Father, I don't want to leave you. Father, don't leave me again. Father, I want to remain with you. They say, as the child woke up, she began crying. Auntie Zainab, Aina Abi, Aina Abi. Where is my father? I just saw my father. He was here, standing by me. My head was in his lap. Aunt, where is my father? They say, Sakina, it was a dream, my child. Says, no, I want my father. She cried. The women gathered around her. They too began crying. They say, Yazid Walid wakes up from the crying of the child. What is it? Says the child of Hussein won't stop crying. So what should we do? Says give her the head of her father. Says the child was crying, they brought a tray. On it the head of Abu Abdullah, over it a cloth. When the tray was brought inside, the child looked towards the tray. She turned to her Aunt Zainab, says, Auntie, I didn't ask for food and water. I want to see my father. They say they lifted off the cloth. She sees the head of her father on the tray. The daughter of Abu Abdullah runs towards her father's head. She takes the head of her father. You want to know what Sakina says? Father, tell me, who made me an orphan at such a young age? Father, tell me who cut the veins of your neck. Father, tell me who covered your beard in your blood. Father, after you all we have is musibah. Father, after you all there is difficulty. Father, tell me who killed you. They say the child lay down with the head of her father. She placed her lips on the lips of her father, began telling him, Father, along the way Shimar whipped me. Father, along the way Shimar slapped me. Father, they stole my earrings from my ears. Father, no one was slapped along the way more than my Auntie Zainab. Whenever they wanted to slap us, my Aunt Zainab would stand in the way and say, don't slap the children of Abi Abdullah, slap Zainab instead. The child falls silent. Imam as-Sajjad goes towards her, sees the head of her father on one side. She sees Sakina lying on the other. They say he went towards her. The call was heard in the prison. Come to me, oh my daughter, for I am waiting for you. When Sajjad goes towards his sister, he touches her body. He cries out, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of these tears in your eyes. Ya Allah, forgive our sins. Ya Allah, forgive the sins of our parents. Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Ya Allah, those that have hajat, for the sake of what moment? For the sake of what moment? They say, how is it Sajjad buried his sister? In what state does a man who is shackled, a man who is chained, a man that is a prisoner bury his sister within that very same prison? They say an alim years later, he saw in his dream, say the Sakina coming, saying, Alim, my grave is filling with water. Come, fix my grave. Remove the water from my grave. Says his daughter saw it, he saw it. Eventually he realized after consulting the other ulama, this was a message from the daughter of Abu Abdullah. He sends his daughters. He says, go. This is one of the banat Rasulullah. You go, move the body of Sakina. Make sure the grave is fixed. Says when his daughters returned, they had tears in their eyes. Said, Father, you told us that Sakina was madluma. Father, you told us Sakina was gharib, she was all alone. Father, you told us that she was oppressed. But oh Father, you never told us that when they buried her, her ropes were still tied to her body. For the sake of that child, those that have hajat, those that have sorrows, difficulties in their life, Ya Allah, remove their difficulties. Ya Allah, those who are in debt, clear their debts. Ya Allah, keep safe the Shia of Ali Muhammad. Muhammad around the world. Keep safe the Azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada around the world. Ya Allah, those whose voices have been raised for the daughter of Abi Abdullah, those whose tears have fallen for the daughter of Abi Abdullah, Ya Allah, give us the opportunity to go on the ziyarah of Sayyid al-Sakina. Give us the opportunity to cry by the haram of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadiri, his true awaiters, Matam Hussein.